It is Sunday, September 15th, 2019, and this is the Product Mentor Talk. Today, we are joined by one of our mentors, Bryan Postelnek, and he's going to do a talk on tips on communicating internally to different audiences. Allow me to briefly explain the format of this session. The Product Mentor program was stood up to help create better product people by pairing experienced product professionals with people looking to advance their product capabilities. Each of the product mentors have many years of wonderful and diverse product experience from B2B to B2C, some hard products and even service products. We are also joined by some of the mentees in the current session. If everyone can just wave, that'd be great. Thank you. And now we're going to do some introductions. We're going to go around the room one at a time. I will call on you in the order I see you, which you can't necessarily tell, but let's start first with Nico.
Hey guys, I'm based in Denmark. I'm mentee in this program. I work in a company called 2021 AI.
Thank you. Next, let's do Candice.
Hi, everyone. I'm Candice Zhang. I'm based in New Jersey, and I'm currently a mentee in this program.
And now let's do Daniel.
Hey, my name is Daniel Ponsier. I work at a company called Moto Insight, product manager there, based in Toronto, Canada.
Bryan.
Hi, I'm Bryan Postelnek. I'm a product manager at Angie's List. I'm based in Bloomington, Indiana, and I'm a mentor in this program.
John?
Hi, I'm John Masterson. I'm the Chief Product Officer at a company called Improvewell, and I am based in London. I'm a product mentor in this program.
Andras.
Hey everybody, I'm Andras. I'm from Slovenia, working at Loop Email, and I'm a mentee in this program.
Great. Okay. That covers all the introductions. Just a quick reminder, please post your questions to the Q&A section at theproductmentor.com/live. As the questions come in, I will jump in and pass them on to the mentor during the talk. So we will not wait for questions at the end. They are taken live during the session. So just jump in with any questions you have. Again, at theproductmentor.com/live. And I am Jordan Bergstrom, head of product at Equip ID. I too am a mentor in this session and your moderator for today's live stream. And now I will let Bryan take it away.
Cool, thank you. Okay. So let's get started. Hi, I'm Bryan Postelnek. I'm going to discuss tips on communicating internally to different audiences today. A little about me. I said in the intro, I'm a product manager at Angie's List, based in Indianapolis, Indiana. I have 6 years of professional experience as a product manager, so I have a lot of experience communicating to different groups, lots of trial and error. I've worked on both B2B and B2C products. I thought this type of talk would be helpful to y'all in your product careers. And just some quick fun facts about me. I'm a ballroom dancer, and I have an upcoming wedding in February. So we're here to talk about communication as product managers, specifically when talking to people inside our companies. And there's no escaping this task as a product manager. Communicating is a fundamental part of our job, and effective communication makes or breaks our success as product managers. We do a lot of communicating because our organizations need to know what we're up to. Our teams need to be aligned. A day of communicating could go like this, switching between groups. 1 minute, we're working on an update to keep support apprised of what's going on with the latest bugs. The next, we're working to get executive buy-in on an upcoming roadmap item. And after that, we're kicking off an initiative with engineering and design. So every day, we have a lot of sharing about a lot of different things. And not everyone we talk to needs the same level of detail. and everyone has time to digest the same complexity from your message. However, these groups still need information from you. They need context to do their jobs. The right audiences need to understand the right level of what's going on. So what do I mean by that? Here's a scenario. Think about my example of the support team. They want to know what's going on with the latest bugs. Will the bugs be fixed? Do we know by when, etc. So you send them an email with a list of bugs, details about each, severity, priority, etc. Now your manager has also heard about some problems with your product and also wants to know about the latest bugs. Do you send your manager the same email or do you update it? How would you update it? You have to think about what your manager already knows about these bugs, how much time your manager has to get up to speed, and what your manager really wants to know. If you don't think about these types of things and just move forward the same email, the same communication, it's likely that your manager will get your email and it'll fall flat. And it could be because one, your manager doesn't understand what you're talking about. It's too much or not the right information. So you end up going back and forth a lot, trying to clarify, eating up a lot of both of your time. Or secondly, maybe your manager doesn't even read it because it's too long and now you've wasted your time. When we try to make one-size-fits-all communications, it can cause friction and frustration for you and your recipients. And I've had my fair share of frustrations. I'll spend quality time digging into data and sending out very detailed, kind of lengthy, and thought through documents to my product leadership team. Things that they wanted to know about, only to have it unresponded to and probably unread. And I at the same time, I don't blame them. They're busy people. So in essence, we need to craft our messages for our distinct audiences and situations, because being considered in this way will help prevent us from wasting our time. The trade-off is, of course, that modifying those messages for each scenario will require a bit of time, thoughtfulness, and intentionality on our part. Therefore, I thought I'd share some of my insights and advice from my experiences to help prevent you from falling into common traps and to get you to think about your messages. Again, if this goes well, you'll spend your time and energy most efficiently and the time and energy of others best as well, which will hopefully prevent a few fires and headaches. So when considering your audiences as a product manager, here's a way to think about how best to communicate your messages. There's two main dimensions, as I see it. How much time does your recipient have to read and digest your message? And then how much detail does your recipient really need to be informed or to help you? What's relevant to them? What do they need to do their jobs? Thinking about these questions and putting yourself in their shoes help you figure out how to craft your messages. And these guidelines generally apply regardless of channel. You should factor in these elements when creating your presentations, talking in meetings, writing emails, etc., slacking messages, all these things. One more thing about this diagram when reading this, don't mistake this to say that anyone has unlimited time. Nobody has unlimited time, but there are groups that have more time to read, digest, and discuss your material than others. And now here's some general groups inside your company. And we have leadership, support, design, engineering, legal, marketing, and sales. And so looking and thinking about, where do they fall when trying to communicate about product we're building? So starting in the top right, what group has more time than most other groups to talk about what you're working on, but really needs the basic details from you? I think sales is a great example of that. Although sales may have time to get into the details with you and may have a ton of questions, they really only need the basic high-level details of your product. They need the bullet point details of what you're shipping and how it works so that they can explain it to their clients. You don't need to get bogged down in the extraneous details of the product with them. They need to know the value that the product will bring to their potential clients so that they can sell. And moving on to a group that has more time and also needs more details, I think this is who you'd expect. Support, design, engineering. These are the people that we generally work with most closely and collaborate with to build and maintain our products. Engineering thrives in the details. They need to know what's going on. They need to know what's going to be built and how it's going to work, if it's ever going to work the way we expect. Design needs to understand the nuances of the use cases they're designing for. And support needs to know some fine-grained details of how the product works so they can help customers out with the problems they're encountering. Again, these groups need much richer detail and context. They also generally have more time for you because they need that time to get into those details. So that you all can come together and build an awesome product and deliver value. So with these groups in mind, don't withhold, get them on the same page as you, give them the time that they need from you. In the next quadrant, I have a couple of examples for groups who need more details, but don't have as much time to get into those with you. Legal and marketing are examples. They generally have less time for product managers because they have other main responsibilities in their departments, ones unrelated to directly helping us build our product. Although they have less time, they need less details, and just enough details to understand your product's inner and outer workings so that they can help support you and your products by answering legal questions, preparing marketing materials, etc. If you stay efficient with their time and provide essential in-depth details, you'll be more likely to get what you need. And just one quick tip with this group as well. When it comes to those who don't have a ton of time to spend with you but need the details of what it is you're working on, if you're building something net new or to understand the situation requires a fair amount of nuanced information, don't try to explain over email or Slack. I've run into this issue several times in my career. It's generally better to go speak with these groups in person and have a conversation to explain the context and any questions they may have. And, instead of trying to shoot over a deck about something they've never seen before and they have to try and figure out and parse out all this information. If you did send over something like a lengthy email or a deck trying to explain it, what's likely to happen is that if you had questions for these groups or you want feedback, you'll just get back answers or more questions that maybe don't make sense, or data that is all wrong for the situation you're trying to get at. So lastly, the notorious group that has less time to spend with you and needs less details, leadership. They, like legal and marketing, are doing a lot of their day-to-day. They're doing a lot in their day-to-day. They generally don't have time to get into the weeds with you because they have so much going on. They need the concise highlights, whether that be in an update you're sending them or you're just asking a few questions. I mentioned this earlier, but I can't tell you how much time I've spent writing up beautiful emails to explain context and nuance to leadership about a given scenario, only to have them be confused by the details or get no response. In general, keep communications short and to the point with leadership so that both parties can get what's needed. And if leadership needs to discuss more, it's worth dedicating separate time to do that, but come prepared so you don't waste their time. Again, here's how they plot out. So what does any of this practically look like? I'll give an example of a real exchange between me and a product leader. Again, this is the type of person who has less time and just generally needs less details. So here's the scenario, and just so you know, I've redacted the contents of most of the email because the content really isn't as important, and also it's an internal email. So didn't want to just share everything out in the public like that. So a product leader had emailed me. I had a few questions. That's in the yellow. It was a couple of lines of an email. Asked for an update on those questions by the end of the day. I said, sure thing. I'll provide an update by the end of the day. Here's my update. This is one part of the email, and here's the rest of the email. I wrote a pretty lengthy email. The yellow was just me repeating the product leader's initial questions. The black is what I wrote back, and it was so long that I can't even fit it in one screenshot. I replied with 8 different bullet points, 2 diagrams, overall nearly 2,300 characters and nearly 400 words. Compare that to my product leader's email, how he likes to communicate and how, really reflects how much time he spent on this. His was short. He had 2 questions. His email was about 400 characters and about just 60 words. So overall, my communication back to this person who's communicating in short form was about 6.5 times the length of his email, not including the visuals. In retrospect, it was just a crazy reply for me to give. And guess what? I never got a reply. I don't even know if the product leader ever read my reply. I never heard about it again. And it was just so long. How would I even expect him to read it? I kind of just shut down the conversation with this crazy long email. I should have spent much less time crafting this detail on this email. If I had been more thoughtful about my audience, I would have responded differently. Maybe something more that looks like this, quick, simple answers to his questions, something he could scan more easily, and then document the details elsewhere to refer to if there were more questions, or attach, a document, whether it be a deck or whatever, with additional supplementary information. Short and sweet works well on Slack messages to product leaders too. Again, they don't have time to parse through everything. So with this new insights from this presentation, let's say that you're now thinking about your audience, ask yourself, how much time do they have for your message and what level of detail do they need? I have a few additional tips to help convey your message effectively. I think just some additional tips on effective communication: using visuals whenever possible. Go to the whiteboard, draw something on paper, take a screenshot, etc. Combine it with text. Helps keep everyone on the same page as you. If you leave it just up to words, each recipient will build a different picture about what you're talking about in their minds. Be concise and clear with what you're discussing. Even if people have more time to communicate with you, it's important to be concise because it saves time and can help keep their attention. Be prepared. Now, with your briefer and simpler communications, you're likely to get questions. Think about what those questions might be in advance and how you might go about responding to them, especially if you're going to be discussing them in person. The next one is a general rule of thumb, but if you're going to be discussing your product and providing recommendations, include data and facts to help persuade the audience. And also, in general, if you're passionate and excited about whatever the topic it is that you're communicating on, show it. It'll signal to your audiences how much you care about it and about what you're discussing. And it can help keep their attention and be infectious. And then lastly, things to avoid when communicating. These things are generally counterproductive, but sometime or another, we find ourselves engaged in these behaviors. Arguing over an email chain. Just classic example, when things heat up in an email chain, they're hard to understand and parse through. I recommend meeting with people in person when it gets to this point to get the details on what they're thinking. A sign that you may be heading down this road is when people start to get into too nitpicky of details over an email chain. Then it might be time for an in-person conversation, or at least off that thread. And the second one, big group meetings. Two big problems that occur with big group meetings. One, you get people in there that don't need to be there. You end up wasting people's time. Do your homework before sending out the invites to find out who should really be at the meeting and who will provide value instead of sending to everyone you can think of that might be important. The other thing that happens with big meetings is that they can become unwieldy and be hard to get back on track to the agenda you set. If you must have a meeting with a fairly large group, talk with the individuals to give them a preview of what's coming before the meeting and try to get a pulse of where they're at, or maybe even get their feedback early. The worst thing for you is to be surprised in the meeting and subsequently lose the group. And so those are my tips and advice on communication. And what I've proposed may not work for every situation. These are guidelines, not hard, fast rules. Test it out, get your feedback, get feedback on it, iterate on it, work to figure out what's best for you and your audiences. And, keep me posted on how it goes.
As always, this presentation will also be posted to our SlideShare channel. And a big thank you from me, Jordan Bergtraum, Head of Product at Equip ID, and to everyone else who joined us today and the Product Mentor. And don't forget, if you're interested in being a product mentor like Bryan, to product people of all sorts, visit theproductmentor.com and sign up today. We're always looking for good, willing, strong, talented mentors. And if you're looking to fill a new product job with a great product person, visit our very own free job board at theproductjobs.com.